Hi, my name is Justin Tatavio. Welcome to Film Don't Lie. This is our January 2nd, 2018 edition, so our first video of the new year. Happy New Year, everybody. We're going to showcase 5 topics like we normally do. The Orange Bowl, what I'm calling the Foes Bowl games, which is a Fiesta and the Cotton Bowl, the Rose Bowl itself, and it's a part of the college football playoff, the Sugar Bowl, also part of the college football playoff, and we'll do a look ahead towards the national championship game. We will film again after the national championship game on Tuesday, January 9th. So you've got a week to enjoy this thing, to share it, retweet it. On Twitter, it's at IMFB_BLOG. Again, Justin Ottavio, and here we go. The Orange Bowl. Wisconsin beat Miami 34-24, and Mark Richt lost his mind, if you will. I've never seen the guy get that heated. During the season, at one point, he did go off, and there was a lot of video clips being sent around on the internet of Mark Richt using the F word. Again, some profanity on a national level. Not always living up to maybe the standard or the conversation that there is about him, but it's proof that everybody is human and that, coaching is an intense business, and you're looking to win. I mean, there's bonuses on the line to winning, and there's pride, and there's a lot of hard work. I mean, you spend hours upon hours. You want to win the football game, especially the Orange Bowl being at Hard Rock, which is where Miami plays their home game. So pretty heated about some some holding calls and stuff that weren't called. However, you have to talk about all of this turnover chain and conversation about Manny Diaz, this great defensive coordinator. Alex Hornibrook, who had thrown 15 interceptions during the season, throws absolutely none. He throws 4 beautiful touchdowns, 258 yards passing on 34 attempts. The guy looked fantastic. He has not looked fantastic all season. So something has to be done for the defensive back play and pass coverage for the University of Miami. Manny Diaz got to look in the mirror a little bit and start looking at the stuff that got him fired at Texas, some of the stuff that was said about him at Mississippi State, which is giving up big plays and being, all in on sacks, interceptions, and not all in on winning football games. Jonathan Taylor, the freshman, had 130 rushing yards. A.J. Taylor had 105 receiving yards and a touchdown. Danny David had 3 touchdowns receiving. The Wisconsin Badgers came away with 3 sacks and 4 tackles for loss. Miami was a little bit of an enigma. Miami ran well. DJ Dallas was kind of an athlete, came into the game. He had 8.6 yards per carry and a touchdown, and they just started going away from him. Instead of using him as an actual back, they went towards a wildcat formation. Like, we haven't seen that played out enough. Great as a mix-up, not great as a base that you're trying to run with a guy. Extremely talented player as well as a high school quarterback. You'd think he would be able to throw the ball. Malik Rozier was 11 for 26 with 3 interceptions and a touchdown. You would have thought it would have been turned around maybe a little bit, but Wisconsin Badger defense is number 1 in the S&P Plus for a reason. Miami ran for 6 yards per carry, but got really caught up into throwing a football. And honestly, it wasn't a bad move because the interception in the end zone from the Badgers was obviously a holding, if not a pass interference. Slingshot himself, grabbing the wide receiver's pants, and it wasn't called. You can't expect to win a game or lose the game based on the referees. You've got to just move on from it. Jaquan Johnson, safety, who decided to come back for his senior season, 11 tackles. Miami only had 1 sack, but they did have 6 tackles for loss, something that they really pride themselves on, but it was the lack of turnovers. They had 1 turnover early on, fumble recovery on Jonathan Taylor's fumble. Besides that, Miami really didn't look that strong, 34-24 Wisconsin. So again, we had the Battle of the Foes Bowls, 2 games that were featuring your typical Big Ten versus Pac-12 matchup, which is what the Rose Bowl has always been made of, except this year, with it being part of the college football playoff, it lost its typical matchup. The first one we'll talk about, the Cotton Bowl. You had USC, the Trojans, against the Ohio State Buckeyes. Very much played out at first kind of like Miami, Texas Cotton Bowl 1991. If you've ever seen that game on YouTube, Miami blows out Texas 46-3, and it was the game mentioned in the documentary 30 for 30, where all the 250 some odd penalty yards and taunting and personal fouls from Miami. Ohio State looked like a great team. However, you cannot lose to Iowa in a blowout. That's all there is to it. It was 24-7 final, but USC did not have a chance in this game. Darnold threw for 300 yards, but a pick 6, and he didn't score. USC was held to 1.6 yards per carry. On the OSU side, J.T. Barrett, 6.4 yards per attempt on 17 throws, which is pretty abysmal. but he carried the load rushing, 66 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dobbins only at 39 yards on 13 carries. You can see USC's Mr. Softy defense really kind of it stepped up. Sam Hubbard, defensive end from Ohio State, 2.5 sacks and 3.5 tackles for loss. Neither team belonged to the college football playoff. Proof to me, 4 teams are where it needs to be for right now. The Cotton Bowl, a little bit of a flop, definitely a blowout. When you're looking at the Fiesta Bowl, that was Washington versus Penn State. Not as tight of a game as the actual Rose Bowl. That's almost impossible to do. But Washington Penn State Fiesta Bowl kept it interesting. It was 28-14 Penn State at the half. It looked over. Washington managed to stay in it. Chris Peterson is obviously an amazing coach. They're well coached. They stayed strong. They played hard. It was one of the more fun and interesting things to see. How hard like Myles Gaskin ran, regardless of the score. Definitely the Fiesta Bowl beats the Cotton Bowl. It was 35-28 Penn State. Saquon Barkley, 92-yard touchdown run, proving he is going to be a dynamic playmaker in the NFL. Jake Browning went from being this like NFL draft pick, possible top 5 and all this stuff, 6.3 yards per attempt, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Again, Gaskins at 7 yards a carry and 2 touchdowns. Trace McSorley, 300 yards, 8.3 yards per attempt, but he did what he does. He threw his 2 touchdowns, but he added his 2 interceptions, so he's going to have to clean up. Barkley at 137 yards, 2 touchdowns. Deshaun Hamilton, 5 catches, 110 yards, 22 yards a catch, 2 touchdowns. Penn State, the defense, looked even better than the offense. 4 sacks, 8 tackles for loss for the Penn State defense. So Fiesta Bowl, definitely the winner of the Battle of Foes Bowls. Now on to the actual Rose Bowl. Oklahoma versus Georgia. Oklahoma was the actual higher seed per the College Football Playoff Committee. They were the 2. Georgia was the 3. This game ended 54-48. Georgia Bulldogs, after 2 overtimes, a blocked field goal, pretty much a fumble return for a touchdown. Pretty much anything you could possibly want in a football game. This game featured high scoring, overtime, special teams plays, scoring on defense, quarterback catching a touchdown. So, just an amazing game. 55-yard field goal made. Just an amazing game. It was the reason why we watch college football. I think everybody involved in college football and in the playoffs have to be excited about a game like that coming to fruition and really living up to the hype. Jake Fromm, as a freshman, true freshman, taking over, kind of coming in and becoming the starter. 210 yards passing, 7 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns, did not turn the ball over. That was my key to them winning. Fromm just doing what he does, playing that Trent Dilfer for the Baltimore Ravens kind of role. Just manage the game, don't turn the ball over, don't make mistakes. Jalen Hurts has been doing that for years. It's really worked out well for him. Obviously, 3 college football playoff appearances in a row. Sony Michel, 16.5 yards per carry, 3 rushing touchdowns and a receiving touchdown. And you have Nick Chubb, 10.4 yards per carry and 2 touchdowns. When a team has 2 backs who can get 16.5 and 10.4 yards a carry and can combine for 6 touchdowns, it's going to be really hard to beat a running game like that. And they're very dynamic. Both backs can block, both backs can catch the ball. Michelle a little more of a speedster, but Chubb a little more of taking a pounding. They really have 3 backs that can get the job done. Baker Mayfield, it's not like he didn't live up to the hype. The guy caught a touchdown pass. He threw for 287 yards, 8.2 yards per attempt. He had 2 touchdowns. He did throw the bad interception. Rodney Anderson, tailback, 201 rushing yards, 7.7 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. It was 31-17 at the half. For Oklahoma had the lead, and UGA scores 14 unanswered in the third. It's a 14-14 split in the fourth, and 9-3 in overtime in favor of Georgia. Blocked field goal really was the difference. Riley's decision to squib kick the kickoff going into halftime just kind of flubbed that up. Dude with the red specs decides to bomb a 55-yard field goal. Another takeaway: the coach's film room could be a little dry at times, a little bit stale. But Gary Patterson ate a lot of pizza and then left early. There's only one explanation for that. Larry Fedora and Applewhite finally got into the snacks, like in between the games, I think, as the games were kind of changing over. Major Applewhite didn't really have a lot to say, tried to make a joke. All the baby boomers laughed at him. The cell phone usage of the coach's film room. Next level amount of cell phone usage. I'm sure they're still looking at recruiting, talking to their families. I mean, it is New Year's. Just interesting to see the amount of cell phone use going on. I mean, the guys were plugged in, to like a desk charger or something. Some of them use an iPad, some of them not. Fedora slapping his feet up during the sugar. Just seeing these guys kind of be goobery in their interactions, giving each other a hard time. They definitely warmed up as the night went on. Good stuff, ESPN. The Sugar Bowl, Clemson versus Alabama. This is your 1 versus 4 matchup. Clemson being the 1, Bama being the 4 per the College Football Playoff Committee. It's played in New Orleans, so not too far of a trip for either fan base or team. 24-6 final. Clemson just couldn't get anything going on offense. Bama looked like the elite program that they are, a team built on defense and built on safe offensive play, using big body backs, having the speedsters like Calvin Ridley to take advantage of you when it needs to be. Jalen Hurts proving to be the ultimate Nick Saban quarterback after many people thought he wasn't a Nick Saban quarterback at all. Guy has turned into your game manager, the ability to scramble, the ability to use him on design runs has really changed the tide of Alabama's offense. It's a 4-point game before defensive lineman Daron Payne, big ol' hoss, number 94, intercepts a Kelly Bryant pass, and he gets a little rumble, fumble, stumble. Then winds up catching a 2-yard touchdown off of play action. I mean, they flood him out to the flat. The big boy catches a touchdown, showed nice hands, nice balance, great footwork. And then they turn around and Mack Wilson gets a pick 6 off of Kelly Bryant, and that blew the doors wide open. When you get a turnover like that and a big man touchdown and you follow it up with a pick 6, it's not a whole lot you're going to be able to do. Kelly Bryant, he was reeling, 19 yards on 19 carries, 2 interceptions, stagnant offense, not a lot to even report back to you. Hurts, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. Damian Harris just pounded out 77 rushing yards and a touchdown. It was Alabama football, 24-6, scoring on defense, turnovers. No better way to describe it than it was true Alabama football, the way that Nick Saban has won his championships at Alabama, and could possibly add another one. It'll be an SEC matchup, which many people are not going to be that excited about. Coach's film room, watched it a little bit less during this game, but still some funny stuff with Gary Patterson leaving early and them kind of ribbing the fact that he left early, talking about locking him in the bathroom. Bielema is still taking a lot of flack off of Dana Holgorsen. The guys are just throwing jabs around left and right. Bielema is saying maybe he could do this for the next season while he can't find a job, stuff like that. Applewhite opened up a little bit more, when he got the opportunity to talk. You can just tell that he is more in the vein of a millennial, Big Bang Theory-ish kind of a dork, and the rest of the guys are a little bit more in that baby boomer, cool guy thing, Letterman jackets and whatnot. So, interesting matchup there in the Sugar Bowl. Alabama overcoming their number 4 ranking in the College Football Playoff Committee to become the team since Florida State, first team since Florida State 98 through 2000 to go to back-to-back championship games. And now the bittersweet moment of previewing the national championship game. It's our, college football playoff national championship game held on January 8th in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. Not a very far trip for the University of Georgia Bulldogs, who are located in Athens, Georgia, or the Alabama Crimson Tide in Tuscaloosa, to be honest with you. Not too far of a trip for them either. The early Vegas line is Bama by 4. I could see this becoming maybe a 2-3 point spread. Nick Saban has got them back there again. He's got 7 SEC titles on his resume, 5 national titles already, 4 with Bama. What can the guy, do next? Jeremy Pruitt, his defensive coordinator, is taking a job at Tennessee, but it was talked about in the coach's film room, and I've said it as well. It was different when you were changing out offensive coordinators and going between Lane Kiffin leaving for FAU or being pushed out or whatever, or Sark, who had sort of been around, taking over. That's a drastic difference because Nick Saban cut his teeth being a defensive coach, and it's his Alabama defense. With Jeremy Pruitt leaving, it's not like Nick Saban can't step in. It's not like it's not his defense. It's not his terminology. It's not what they've been doing there for years and years and years. So I think it's just a different sort of transition, nowhere near as impactful as having the offensive staff leave. And so they have not missed a beat, obviously, just slamming Clemson down to 6 points. I think we're going to see a dogfight. And that's no pun intended. Georgia, Alabama are going to really just mash it up. I mean, I could see this being not quite the 40, 50 point games. I think this is going to wind up coming down to, a 21-20 sort of a game. It's going to be close. It's going to be a 1-2 point game, Bama and Georgia. Um, going to be an interesting contest, especially with the proximity to both schools and a beautiful stadium, and everything about it is going to be great. These teams finished the S&P Plus rankings on December 2nd. This is going into the bowls. Bama ranked second, Georgia ranked third. That doesn't tell you how accurate the S&P Plus is. I mean, that's pretty damn spot on. Bama's offense is 19th, Georgia's 18th. Bama's defense is third, Georgia's 8th. Saban's former assistants are 0-11 against him. Kirby Smart is a former Saban assistant in his second year with the University of Georgia Bulldogs. So you have the young head coach who looks like the Dr. Pepper, Larry Culpepper guy versus Mr. Smooth, cool Nick Saban, who's been there before. Jalen Hurts, the quarterback's been there before. He was on the roll of being a freshman playing in this game a year ago and just barely got edged out by Sean Watson and Clemson. The guy has been there. He's on a program that wins national titles every other year. It's going to be Bama. Alabama Crimson Tide to be your 2017 national champions and winning the 2018 national college football playoff national championship. What does that mean? What does an all SEC game mean for the state of college football? Well, it means everybody else needs to pick up the pace. Pac-12 had an abysmal bowl game season. The Big Ten didn't have too bad of a bowl game season. The ACC was meh. Big 12, not really in a major game. It's time for some of these programs besides Oklahoma. It's time for some of these programs to step up. We've got to knock the SEC off there if you want to call yourself elite. I think the ACC is still elite. I wrote about it on Saturday Blitz, but they're going to have to recover from this. Dabo's going to have to recover from this. Miami's going to have to step it up and not lose to Wisconsin of the world. Florida State, Willie Taggart needs to get them back on board. Over in the Big Ten, Michigan dropping a game to South Carolina is bad for business. Ohio State should be really good next year. So it should be fun to see. But as far as a preview of the national championship game, I'm looking at Bama over Georgia. It's going to be a great one. But I think Jake Fromm and Kirby Smart are not quite ready for Nick Saban. It'll be 0-12 for Saban's former assistants against him. All right, this is Saturday Blitz's Film Don't Lie. I'm Justin Ottavio. You guys enjoy the week and look forward to the college football national championship game.